You tell me what you think. I think this special counsel looking into Joe Biden never would have happened had they not been going after Donald Trump this aggressively. I don't think it's going to lead anywhere, even though they've gone after civilians for far less than what Joe Biden has admitted to doing. Mm-hmm. But the thing I'm most interested in is how, in your view, does all of this affect the case against Trump? Because now, just to update the audience, as I mentioned in the intro, we have not one, not two, but three discoveries of Joe Biden holding classified documents, including top secret documents at three different places. His Washington, D.C. office that was connected to his work for University of Pennsylvania after his vice presidency, his home in Wilmington, Delaware, out in the garage next to his Corvette, and now a third disclosure late yesterday of a document, at least, coming from inside that same home. What do you make of it?
Well, first, I think there will be more disclosures, not only of documents improperly handled by Biden, but by previous presidents. This is something that must have been happening for years and years and years. And it was only the fact that the Justice Department went after Trump so aggressively with a search warrant and with a complete search of the home that has even made this a story. This is a perfect example of tit-for-tat politics. The Democrats go after Trump improperly, unconstitutionally, and now, of course, the Republicans are going to get even. And the victims are the American public who don't benefit from this. In the end, nothing will happen. I rarely ever make perfect predictions on the media. Here I'm going to make a 100% certain conviction. There will be no criminal prosecution of Donald Trump or of Joe Biden. They cancel each other out unless, obviously, more information comes out that shows obstruction of justice or Richard Nixon type behavior. But this makes it clear as can be that you can't have a double standard of justice, particularly when two people are running against each other for president. That's why special counsel was appointed, because they appointed him against Trump. So they had to appoint him against Biden. Everything has to be equal, and one will cancel out the other.
I totally agree with everything you just said. This is window dressing on the Biden side to make it look like they're both being treated the same for what would normally be a slap on the wrist, like, okay, give us back the documents. And I realized Trump went further than that and said, kept arguing past the point of return. And now they actually claim that he lied through a lawyer about having given back all the documents when in fact he hadn't. They'll fight all that out, maybe. But the bottom line is, in the mind of the American people, this is classified information being kept by a former vice president and a former president, and they're going to see it as the same. And if they get different treatment, it's going to be extraordinary and under any circumstance, Alan, but especially when you're talking about the unprecedented act of indicting criminally a former president, which they are thinking about doing to Trump.
Look, I think there are very few things that all Americans agree on. But the one thing that all Americans agree on is that the Trump situation is different from the Biden situation. Half of America thinks that Biden is worse. Half of America thinks that Trump is worse. And each of them has a point. Trump was worse in the sense that he didn't come forward and disclose immediately. There may have been some misstatements. There were materials found after there were assurances they wouldn't be found. On the other hand, we have Trump being the president of the United States at the time, having the ability to declassify material, whereas Biden was the vice president and didn't have the ability to classify material. Also, with Biden, there was this delay. Why a delay between early November and the midterm elections? And then why a 2-month-long delay? And there were also speculation that Biden would never have revealed this information had the media not gotten wind of it. Now the question is, who leaked it to the media? Who's out to get Biden? Who was out to get Trump? This reflects the worst of American politics.
I'm actually starting to wonder, this is a little tongue-in-cheek, if Joe Biden is behind this whole strategy because he doesn't actually want an indictment of President Trump. He's offering something that would make it less likely because he'd prefer to run against him. That he said publicly, that's the one thing that'll guarantee I run again. And he really believes Trump's beatable. And maybe he's doing something. I don't really think this, but it did occur to me. Maybe he's trying to keep Trump in the political game.
Well, look, this certainly does keep him in the political game. There are all kinds of machinations in politics. We don't know what the motivations were. I think the most likely scenario is that both of them simply screwed up. They didn't do anything in order to sell classified material to the Chinese. Each are claiming a China or a Russian connection. It's very conspiratorial. When there are two options, malice or stupidity or carelessness, you always go for the stupidity and the carelessness. And so I suspect that both sides were careless. I suspect that previous presidents were careless too, and that before this investigation is over, we will find classified material in the possession or having been in the possession of previous presidents as well. For me, the implication is let's change the law. Let's have far less classification. By the way, Biden can do something very interesting as the president. He can now declassify the Ukrainian material that he got when he was vice president, so he can allay all suspicions that he took this material for an improper purpose. He now has the power for purposes of transparency to declassify. Now, there may be some stuff that's very secret and shouldn't be declassified, but much of it can now be declassified. And let's hope that in the future, A, we have narrower classification laws, B, narrower criminal laws. This idea of weaponizing the criminal justice system, each side against the other, it's let's include a willfulness, a specificity requirement in the law before you can charge somebody with criminal behavior. By the way, that should apply not only to former presidents, it should also apply to people in the Army, low-ranking officials, many of whom have suffered grievously from having accidentally or inadvertently taken home a piece of classified material. So the time has come to review this whole mess of criminalizing classified material. Let's make it simple. Let's create a single standard, and let's put this behind us.
Did you know your internet service provider knows literally everything you do online? How about that? Well, you have got to check out private internet access. These days, getting on the internet without a VPN is a risky business. Internet service providers are tracking your every move. They're looking at you. Big companies are profiting off of you. Cyber criminals are trying to steal your data. Jeez. Maybe at this point you're thinking, wait, what's a VPN? How's it going to prevent all that? A VPN is a virtual private network. That means private internet access encrypts your internet activity and disguises your online identity, making it more difficult for third parties to track your activities online and steal your data. Private internet access, a VPN, hides your IP address and encrypts your internet connection. This way, you're in control of your data and your digital life is shielded from all the rude snoopers. Plus, they have apps for all operating systems and they're really user-friendly. So if you want to enjoy all the benefits of private internet access, now is the time to subscribe. Go to piavpn.com/Megyn, piavpn.com/Megyn, and get an 83% discount. 83%. That's just $2.03 a month to protect yourself. And you also get 4 extra months completely free. But you must go to piavpn.com/Megyn for a truly private digital life. One last time, piavpn.com/Megyn. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.